and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. I'm your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. Back from San Diego, back to get you set for another race. We're going back to the road course, Brian Twining, and with me to figure out who we want to bet, who we want to fade, and all the fun stuff in between. It's Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
Hey, Kyle. I hope you had a great time down here in San Diego at Comic-Con, but holy crap, what a debacle we ran into this last weekend in Pocono with Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch looking like the two strongest cars all race. And we figured out why in the post-race inspection. I guess a piece of tape makes that big of a difference for these cars aerodynamically. So, I mean, they got DQ'd, giving Chase Elliott the win. Elliott doesn't want the trophy. Denny Hamlin's out here posting tweets about drinking the champagne and having the trophy, posting them for sale on eBay. Like, what a mess NASCAR has on its hands right now.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild turn of events. Very happy that neither of us have outrights on any of the guys involved. We'll talk about how we're grading our wagers and stuff, but I gotta being able to go from 106 miserable heat to 70s was just mind-blowing. San Diego, I don't know how, you're so spoiled with this weather, man.
Now
I would be like living. I mean, it makes sense why it's so expensive, but Jesus.
Yeah, like people here complain about the cost of living, and I always look at them and I just go, "Can you please just look out your window, go stand outside for 10 minutes, and try to understand that everywhere else in the country right now is either blazing hot, or if it's wintertime, I'm like, people have multiple layers on, and we're still walking around in shorts and maybe a sweatshirt. So I don't understand how people complain living here."
Yep, it's 70 degrees. The ocean's right there, man. It was beautiful. But yeah, let's talk Tricky Triangle because it was a wild ride. As you mentioned, both Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, the winner, were DQ'd, and Chase Elliott wins again. It was technically before the DQ. It had made Denny Hamlin have the most career wins at Pocono, which I thought was interesting. Over some big names, Jeff Gordon, Dale Jr., that kind of stuff. But it was interesting. So DraftKings, shouts to DraftKings because they do some stuff that if you're betting props and constantly beating numbers, probably going to annoy you. But also, like, basically what they're doing is their stance is they take the unofficial results that NASCAR provides. They grade the wagers accordingly, and they move on. In this scenario, obviously, with Hamlin and Kyle Busch both getting DQ'd, they regraded all the wagers. If you had Hamlin already, or you had a Kyle Busch top three or matchups, and they already graded it and you won, you got to keep your money. If you got graded, if they were graded incorrectly, perhaps you had Eric Jones on, say, a top 10 bet. Those all got regraded. Chase Elliott outrights got regraded, and those people won too. So DraftKings, shouts to y'all. Other books handled it differently. Some books just left the unofficial results as the results. So Brian and I are kind of figuring out exactly how we're going to handle it this week. I think for the show purposes, we'll probably just leave it as it is, even though it really sucks because Eric Jones top 10s, we're gonna give my week a life, and he just finishes 11th. He's right there. That Chastain crash completely derailed all the winnings. It was very frustrating. Was good to see Suarez have another strong performance. I had a top 10 on my personal book. I kind of wish I had gone with the top 5 because he was really strong, and continues to be somebody that's really interesting in those placement finishes.
Yeah, going back to Suarez and Trackhouse, including Ross Chastain before he wrecked out, they have been probably, in my opinion, the best like combo team in NASCAR so far this season. Any two drivers from any driving team, they're right up there in terms of how good they've been, especially lately. I mean, if Chastain doesn't crash, he's probably finishing inside the top 3, top 5
Yeah,
this last weekend at Pocono. So, I mean, I'm really happy I added that late Suarez over Briscoe matchup, which got
genius.
pumped down to like minus 150 by the time we went green.
Yeah,
I was kind of disappointed to see William Byron get affected by something that's bit us in the ass multiple times this year. Pit crew issues. He had like an equipment issue
yeah.
coming out of pit row. Like he was running inside the top 5. That looked great. And
And
then
we
that
talked
Eric
about him
Jones.
too. He's kind of that guy. He's either really good
Yeah,
inside the top
exactly.
5, having an amazing day,
Yep.
or things go really poorly and his day goes really, really poorly.
Yeah, and that, like you said, and that was the reason why I was on Byron, because that was a track that he had shown some decent success at, and like you just said, when he finishes good, he's finishing really good.
Yeah,
It's just that damn pit crew stuff that is getting all of them, and then the Eric Jones thing, I that was so
what can you
hard
do?
to watch him fall back from like
Yep.
the 7-8 spot where he had been running all day
Yep. And
and
I'm just
right outside
watching
the top
him
10.
right behind Bubba, I believe, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, come on, make it up, make the time up. And it's
Well,
just like 3 seconds, 3 seconds, I'm like, he's not gonna get
That
there.
so that situation when Bubba was running 10th and Jones was running 11th, I mean I had Bubba Wallace top 10 as my best bet early in the week,
Yeah.
so of course I had to root for that. But I was hoping that maybe like a Michael McDowell or somebody
Well,
had some car issues, maybe they hit the wall or something, and
yeah.
Jones was able to crack that top 10. But yeah, he just
Yeah.
couldn't get there for the unofficial results, anyways.
And if you want some more insight on the unofficial versus official results and kind of how the bets got graded, Chris Wormy, who joined us a couple weeks ago, will be breaking it all down with Todd Furman on the Bet the Board podcast. Look for Stay Green. I believe it's released on Fridays.
Mhm.
And they're going to be talking all about that. So if you want some more kind of insight on how the books think about it and stuff, check that out. Also, some great betting insight if you're obviously here to talk. You listen to us talk betting NASCAR. They also have some great ideas, some great minds, and a good place to if you're looking to add to your NASCAR podcast repertoire. So Brian, before we dive into this week's race, before we we'll look at the bet tracker just to kind of see where we are after last week. I want to do the giveaway. We have the Christopher Bell signed mini helmet to give away. I will bring it up here. This is a nice little comment picker. I'm going to push start. A name is going to come up. If that is your name, please contact me at Notorious KRO on Twitter. I will give you, probably a week or two to try and do that. If you don't do it, I might try and give it away again. If you still don't
Or
do
I'm just
it,
gonna take it.
then I'm just going to give it to Brian because Brian, it's his guy. So make sure you follow me. Make sure you are sending us a comment or sending me an email with or sending. Twitter is probably the best.
Yeah, Twitter's
Uh,
probably a little bit easier.
yeah. So at Notorious Caro, hit up the DMs, and I can get that sent your way. So without further ado, the winner is Scooter. Scooter, congratulations! You are the winner of the signed mini helmet from Christopher Bell. Please get in touch with me, and I will get this sent out to you as soon as I possibly can.
I obviously did not enter enough
No,
ghost
no,
names.
you should have made some more fake accounts to
Uh,
fud up the numbers. But let's talk last week before we bet this week. Eric Jones, 75. I actually feel pretty good about that. He never really had a chance to win, but he was strong all day.
exactly.
I think 11th is probably the low end of his results, and he probably should have finished a little bit stronger. But it's fine. Eric Jones top 10 should have cashed. Like I give up. Willie B, we talked about it. He was running great. And if he finishes, he probably finishes top 5 or top 3, and that's probably green. But he had his day. He ended up in the pits, and well, there you go. Jones over Almirola, even money, helped keep me from having an absolute brutal week. And then I had Harvick over Chastain, Truex, and Blaney. Yeah, I think it's a
Harvick
bet.
Harvick was fine. He just didn't
Yeah.
really have like the pace like all day.
Yeah.
He was complaining about his car quite often, so it was interesting to see how he went from running extremely well the week before to absolutely, struggle bus at a
Yep.
track that he has absolutely done fantastic on in previous years. So you could tell like drivers like him are still having difficulties with the new car.
Yeah, it's interesting to see like good drivers having trouble, not traditionally amazing drivers, um, finding ways to make the car really work for them.
Yeah,
It's kind of interesting. And then obviously your card, Bubba and Byron, um, not so much. Bubba Wallace top 10 though. That's a nice bet, plus 120. Cash that every time. Should have had Eric Jones top 10, but that's okay. William Byron not cashing a top 10 after the way he drove
dude.
most of the day is crazy. Christopher
Yeah,
Buescher, obviously the Byron. Dylan over Brad K. Smart move there.
money in the bank, baby. Anytime you wager against Brad K, like
Yeah.
you got to mark that as a win.
Eric Jones over Almirola, and then as you mentioned, Suarez over Briscoe, which ended up moving. So that was a nice addition to the card. But we move on. We find some value. And let's take a look at the outrights. We are back on road tracks, baby.
Yeah,
Chase Elliott,
huge favorite.
huge favorite, driving incredibly well, and has just been a top 5 machine, basically a top 3 machine. He's either first, second, or third in every race the last like 4 or 5. Even if you score, Hamlin winning and Kyle Busch second, he's still top 3. So he's been absolutely fuego lately and running really, really well. Kyle Larson right behind him. It's just, it hasn't been his season. It's just, he's been fine. And obviously, like, you feel good about him, maybe, in the playoffs, and he could still figure a way to kind of finish strong. But it's been a weird season. But, last year was so amazing, and the way he won all these races, I think it's kind of balancing out a little bit.
Real quick on
Chas,
Kyle Larson, though,
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see because this will be the second race that he has his crew chief back. So it'll be like that dynamic may have kind of like remolded itself into what we saw last year. So it'll be interesting to see how much different he is on track this week, even as he was last week in Pocono, where they were still trying to like get a groove back,
Yep. I think that's a great call. And obviously, he's a guy that I think thrives off of having that relationship. Like, that
Yep.
relationship is much more important than I think people realize. So it's good to see, see that. And then Ross Chastain right behind him, 7.5 to 1. We didn't really touch on it, but with Ross crashing out, Denny winning, do we think there's still animosity, or do we think both drivers have kind of moved on?
So honestly, in my opinion, when I first saw it, like first glance, you think, "Oh, Denny got him back." But when you look further at it, like that's just the guy protecting the lead, and he didn't make any like egregious move. He didn't
Yeah.
super squeeze him or anything. He just did not give space to Chastain, and honestly, that was just extremely hard racing. So I still feel like something is coming for Chastain that is not going to be in like the regards of regular racing. Like it's going to be somebody, or especially Denny Hamlin, just catching him on the rear fender and spinning him or something of that nature. And of course, it's going to happen when we're betting Ross Chastain to win
Yeah.
or in the championship 4.
Do we think if the roles were reversed, Denny Hamlin would see it as just good racing and just aggressive racing, or do you think he would be
Oh,
like,
absolutely not.
yeah, exactly? So it's funny. It's funny
Absolutely
when the
not.
shoe's on the other foot.
For Ross Chastain's credit, like he's taken the high road every single time, and everybody is bashing him as just this bad driver, blah blah blah. But you know what? It's super refreshing to see a guy who just says "fuck it." Oh, pardon my French,
You're
and
fine.
he's just going pedal to the metal. He's trying to win races. And if he crashes somebody like too effing bad, like just get out of my way. I'm trying to get the checkered. I mean,
Yep.
it is kind of nice to see that.
Yep. No, he's it seems like he's figured out like he needs to figure out where that line is, because there's been a couple of races where he's definitely crossed it. And there's a couple of races where he hasn't really gone as close as he probably needs to or should. So
Well,
he
it's
needs
also
to find.
situational too,
Mhm.
because end of race situation, a couple laps remaining and you're fighting for the lead for the win. Yeah, like you should do whatever is necessary
Yeah.
to win the race. And if that's bumping and grinding and, sending
I
somebody to
don't
the
see
wall,
nothing
that's what
wrong
it
with a
takes.
little bit of bump and grind. Keep moving down the betting board. We got Tyler Reddick 10-1. We got Daniel Suarez coming off of the road course win,
Yep.
12-1, 13-1. Where's your thoughts on in this range? Are you hitting anyone at the top of the board, or is it really just dive down, find some value, and see where we go from there?
Well, I mean, you're looking at three of the road course winners are right there in Chastain, Reddick, Suarez. Elliott has been fantastic. He's the road course king, but he hasn't won one in the last 6 road courses, so that's something to note. However, he was running first ahead of Tyler Reddick at Road America, and Suarez is somebody who's continuing to kind of race equally as good as Chastain, just not necessarily getting the same recognition. So this goes back to what we talked about earlier. I would much rather take the value, like the 5 extra units or however you want to call them, on Suarez at 12-1, then jump up to Chastain at 7-1.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Still feel like we're getting a little bit of a discount on Larson, but maybe that's just too much of last year. Although he's been solid. He was third at Road America. Where did he finish? Yeah, I guess he hasn't. I don't know. I'm trying to look at 2022 races and try and get a feel for where he is.
He hasn't performed very good at the other two. I mean, Sonoma and Coda were both outside the top 10. So
yeah, and those are places where he traditionally does pretty decently too, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
So maybe he is a guy just to avoid. Suarez is interesting though, and I could see myself getting to there. The next chunk is where we have some fun. Austin Cindric, 12-1. Kyle Busch, 15, 16, 18-1. Truex, 16. Chase Briscoe, 14, 16, 17. And then your boy Ryan Blaney between 16 and 18. Thoughts on this range and potential bets to be made?
Oh, this is the week I'm going back at it. Ryan Blaney, 18-1 at Caesars. Hell yeah. Dude's finished top 8 in all 3 road courses this year. He was runner-up last year at Indianapolis. It's just kind of a situation where if they get the car tuned right, Blaney is a good enough driver to win these races. It just seems like they haven't been able to set the car up for like track-specific races on ovals, but he's been fantastic at the road courses. I think this is the week. I'm going all in on Ryan Blaney, and I'm going to say it right now. He's going to be my only outright of the week.
Wow. Look at the cojones on Brian. It's definitely a call. We'll see how it goes. I feel like you could be sitting really nice and then a stage 3 pit stop or other issue comes along and you're hating life. But
if we had the capability, I would totally flash the don't put that evil on me gift from Talladega Nights.
There's a way to do that, and I'm gonna figure it out. I will start getting some gifts into our repertoire because that would be hilarious. Yeah, I think this is definitely an interesting range. Obviously, Cindric being priced where he is, I think is
super aggressive. I mean,
yeah, but I think the other weeks where we've been like, why is this guy priced here? This seems super aggressive. They've won the race. So,
well, I mean, on that in that same breath, like we saw Suarez be priced up the way that he was when he won Sonoma, and now he's like more than double shortened on the odds. Like, are we that confident that he's that good on the road courses this year to potentially win like that? And Cindric being a rookie, I mean, he's been good. He's been really good.
yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from him, but like I would much rather bet a Ryan Blaney who has way more experience, although the same experience in the new car. But I would much rather go to Blaney at 18-1, who's driving similar equipment than Austin Cindric.
Yeah, Cindric's been like a top 10 guy. He was 5th at Sonoma after starting 25th. He qualified 2nd at Gateway. Like, he's shown the ability to find ways to be really strong on road courses. And
He
maybe I
has
don't
driver mistakes though. Like there's like
yeah,
to me that's the difference. Like Blaney's issues are not driver related in my
yeah.
opinion, whereas Cindric it's young driver mistakes.
Yep. But he's had a few races on road courses in the new car. This could be his learning experience. He could be getting a little bit better each time. I don't know. I don't know if I'll do the outright market on him, but
I
I
like
could
him in the
definitely
placement betting.
find some spots on my betting card for him because I think there is room depending on prices. Truex is still not getting like. Is he just kind of in that next tier now that this year, like he's just not the same guy that used to dominate? Like, because last year I feel like, especially at road courses, we would be really interested, and he would
Yeah.
be 6 to
He's
1,
definitely
not
fallen
16 to 1.
off.
Yeah,
He honestly, he's like I mean, this is kind of crazy to say. He's been to me the fourth best JGR car this season in terms
yeah,
of what his potential is. I mean,
yeah, yeah. It's pretty interesting.
oh, and then going back to the teammate argument, why would you bet Martin Truex Jr. at 16 when you can get a Denny Hamlin or Christopher Bell, who's been pretty good at road courses, at 20? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Bell at 20 or 22 is really interesting. That might be where I start my outright card. I think I'll probably put one of like Chastain or Suarez on the card. I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want to go. Or maybe Cindric, I don't know. But I think Christopher Bell might make the card too. He's been really good. Obviously got that win. So I could see like the win being the monkey off his back, and then he gets like 2 or 3 more, like, or two, he ends up getting like 1 or 2 more wins in the next month or so. And just performing really well. He keeps performing strongly. I think getting rid of that pressure, like he's at the end of the race and he's like, crap, I haven't won one of these all year. Am I going to do it? I think just not having to stress about that is really nice. So his price is definitely compelling, and there's clearly a drop off. Although 28 on Byron when he's 20 at some other prominent books is something that makes me raise an eyebrow. Even though we talked about his struggles and how frustrating
yeah,
he can be. But if he's gonna perform well, he's gonna be in contention for a win. And um, at almost 30 to 1, I think that's a piece I could be persuaded to take a part of.
yeah. And before we move on to the next tier of guys, like I have to ask you, any interest in AJ, the Ringer Dinger, who won this race last season? He finished 9th at the last road course at Road America. The colleague cars haven't necessarily been too impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
like they've been kind of a middling team this year. Do you think the Dinger can compete at this track?
Can he? Probably. Will I be a part of the betting board? Probably not. I feel like he just hasn't been as strong in the new car,
Yeah,
and he's been doing a lot. He's actually like, I've been more impressed with him at like traditional races than road course racing. I feel like he's kind of taken a step forward at more oval tracks, and been a little more competitive than I think maybe people gave him credit for in the past. But just road course, he hasn't really been right there. Although he did have he was right there for, what was the first road race of the year?
that was
Coda?
yeah, that was Coda.
Was that when he was second and then ended up crashing?
Oh yeah, that was the one that he got crashed out by Chastain, who pushed him
Yeah,
and
they were
Alex
they
Bowman out of
were
the
they were
way.
racing. He was right there. I was ready to count my top 3, my top 5, my top 10, and he tries to bump somebody out of the way and goes way to the back and then completely obliterates my betting card. So,
Yeah,
you know, I don't think so at this price. Like, if I'm betting someone at 20, I'd rather take Christopher Bell. I'd rather take William Byron. Um, but I might look at a head-to-head with him or a top 5, top 10 type bet and
Yeah.
see if I can't squeeze one out. Obviously, if he's close, he's going to try and go for it, which, is going to end up putting
And
him
he has a lot less to lose than these
right.
other guys because
Exactly.
he's not a
So,
full-time driver, so he's
you
not
could get a
racing.
23rd out of him, even though he's been top 5 all day. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the scary part. But yeah, maybe we should just say take the outright and not really worry about the rest, because if he's in contention, he's going to try and find a way to squeeze one out. Alex Bowman is interesting. I feel like I say that every week, but he legitimately is. At this price, he's had some impressive performances this season, and has finished strong in some road racing. And I don't feel like this price is appropriate. Like, he was great at Coda. Where was he at? He was fine at Road America. Like, he qualified inside the top 10. He couldn't get his car there, and then was just whatever at Sonoma. I don't know. I feel like I set myself up with the Alex Bowman takes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, Alex Bowman, to me, road courses, he's kind of like that. Let's hope for a top 10, and that's kind of his ceiling. I know he ran really well at the first road race this season, but yeah, I don't really have any interest on him now. Chris Buescher, honestly, he's going to be on my card again. The top 10, he's top 10 to 3 of the last 4 road courses. He has top 6 in the last 2 at Sonoma and at Road America. He's been a lot better than whatever his season results may say, and a lot of the times it's due to somebody else wrecking him or just tire issues. It seems like every single week.
Yeah.
And he was running inside the top 10 this last week at Pocono until the pits cycled through and they made a mistake on pit row, I think, fueling him up or something. So yeah, I mean, you're going to get a great number on him with a low investment, and he's always somebody that could pop.
Yeah, I think for me, the outright card is going to be tidy this week, and I think I might just go like Chastain, Suarez, and Cindric, and just call it maybe Christopher Bell. I think a couple of those 4 names will end up on there.
Now, I do have to ask you before we even move on here, like we're going to have to try to find some numbers on this, but Ty Gibbs will be driving for Kurt Busch in the 2311 card. I mean, personally, I'm not a huge fan of him ever since he tried to fight somebody while still wearing his helmet while the other guy wasn't wearing his helmet. So
I mean
that's kind of...
you should give him props, because that's pretty smart. I always laugh when the
it's smart, but that's like a total...
the idiots who take their helmets off and try and fight a guy who's
okay, all right, okay, touche on that note. However, he was amazing last weekend at Pocono. First ever race in the Cup Series, first ever race driving the next gen car. Kid finished inside the top 20, didn't make any mistakes. And even though they said they were going to stay back early in the race, he was already inside like the top 35 after the first lap, like making all of the back markers look like they were standing still. I mean, I might even take a shot on him, the top 10 this week. I mean, who knows? He's driving decent equipment.
What's his price?
Yeah, that's what so like we're gonna have to shop around and see if anybody's even posting these numbers yet.
Yeah, because he's not even on here yet. Because I could get to him. Like, he ran the Indy Road course, started 5th, was 4th after stage 2, actually led 4 laps, but then ended up having an issue and ended up 19th. He won the Road America in 2022 in Xfinity, and qualified first before having a transmission issue in 2021, and started first at Circuit of America before finishing 15th. So,
and he won. So I'm looking at his numbers right now. He won his only race at Watkins Glen.
I mean, you might be onto something here, Brian. Like, we gotta see if we get numbers, because at this point they should, like, it seems like it's pretty.
He won his only race at the Daytona Road course in Xfinity.
It's like 1,000 to 1.
I mean, I would not mind placing a small.
Like
Okay, I might have to go back on my only outright of the week.
tenth of a unit on 1,000 to 1. Like, give it to me.
Yeah, exactly. Like we still gotta wait for some numbers, but yeah, like
Let's go to the top 10 market and see what we can find. Because the
Ty
wheel
Gibbs 100 to 1 on DraftKings to win the
done.
race.
Put it on the card. Done. Not going to be my best bet, and it's not going to be for a lot. But
Yeah,
100 to 1 to top 10.
No, to win the race. To win the race.
Oh, I thought it said. Oh, maybe I was reading that wrong. No, I must have been reading that wrong. I thought it said 1,000 to 1, maybe 100 to 1. 100 to 1 makes more sense. Let's see here.
Yeah, and I just looked. So DraftKings doesn't even have any top 10s listed at the moment.
Per Action Network, they do. So, did they take down the numbers recently?
Yeah, they must have, because I'm on the DraftKings site.
Oh, you know what? They just took it down. Because when I flipped over here, it was still listed, and now it's not.
I wonder if that has to do with the Ty Gibbs thing. Now FanDuel has numbers.
Yeah, this is their This was their numbers before taking it down. So this is
All
what
right.
we're basing it off of, and then obviously we can adjust accordingly.
Just know that Ty Gibbs will be getting added to both of our cards on a top 10.
I assume Christopher Buescher plus 105 is going on your card for a top 10.
Damn, that's it.
Yeah, it's not very good, but it looks
Like
like
I would
they're
love
figuring it
way
out.
better
Alex
number
Bowman
there.
top 10 at plus 105. Who would you if you had to put one on the card? I'm guessing it's Buescher over Bowman.
Oh, definitely. Just based on my own like driver preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will add the Buescher one just because it's over plus money, and I know that he's been pretty good. So I might have to piggyback it with another one later in the week, just knowing the way that some of these things go. So
yeah.
But yeah, because if you look at the top 10 market, like it's pretty short at the moment.
Yeah, there's not a lot here that gets me excited. I can tell you that.
Honestly, let me say this though. So like, if you go to the top of the board of the top 10 market, you see like Elliott, Larson, Chastain, Reddick, all 1 to 3. I would not fault or mind going really heavy on like a Austin Cindric FanDuel minus 185 or a Juarez minus 185, because as long as they don't crash, which is always a possibility in NASCAR, these two should be running inside the top 10 this week.
Yeah, I think I think as long as it's below minus 200, I think I'm okay with it. I think once you start talking these numbers, it's just you have to lay so much, and with NASCAR, like a wheel falls off, Brad Keselowski gets behind you, your pit crew forgets how to put the wheel back on. Like there's just so many little things that could go wrong that's completely out of the driver's hands, that I'd rather find a head-to-head and hammer that. I'd rather find different options to attack these drivers, because it's just those numbers don't make sense. I think you're onto something. Suarez and Cindric make a lot of sense.
Okay, and then
I don't even hate Kyle Busch, honestly.
Yeah, like I was just gonna say, so this may be a week where you can just go heavy on these shorter odd top 10s and
like
avoid
3 units minus 160, call it a day.
Yeah, exactly. And you're still gonna make a little profit. Like, okay, so I'm gonna go with the Ryan Blaney top 10 at minus 160 at FanDuel. Like I'm gonna do 2 units on that, just because I mean, if I think he's gonna win the race, he's gonna top 10 guaranteed.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point too, is like there's going to be weeks where the numbers just don't make sense. And if you want to, obviously you can always find a way to get some action if you want it. But if the numbers don't make sense and you want to have a smaller betting card, or just say, hey, I'm not worried about this week, maybe take a couple shots on some outrights to call it a day. That is completely reasonable and something that fully good to go with. Flip over to DraftKings, look at the head-to-head market. Your boys are going head-to-head, William Byron and Christopher Bell. I think I like Bell here just because Byron's so hit and miss.
Yeah.
And I trust Christopher. I'm actually going to put that on the card. Because Byron's either going to win or Christopher Bell is going to win by, cruise to an easy finish. So I will take that. I think that's a fine bet. McDowell at plus money, Christopher Buescher. It looks like people are on Team Buescher with you. Truex versus Briscoe is kind of fun. I always like fading Chase Briscoe whenever I get the chance. So you want to do a little show bet? We haven't done one of those in a couple weeks. You take Christopher Buescher, I'll take Alex Bowman.
Oh, definitely. I'm in.
Perfect. I like show bets. Let's see, Christopher Buescher.
Do we get even odds, or do I have to lay the?
We can. This can be the Angle of Pursuit Casino. We'll do minus 110 both sides.
Okay. All right.
This is kind of fun. This could be a good one for you. Suarez minus 115 over Austin Cindric.
Oof.
Ross Chastain as a slight dog to Kyle Larson is kind of fun. I think that's an interesting way to take advantage of.
However, on the same note of AJ Allmendinger driving with reckless abandonment, Ross Chastain, even though he's in the playoff hunt, just like I already said, the reason why I like him is he drives like he's got his hair on fire and is always a danger to wreck out.
I think Ross Chastain has a much better day than Denny Hamlin on Saturday, but the fact that Denny Hamlin, or Sunday rather, fact that Denny Hamlin is plus 215 is just stupid. So I will take Denny Hamlin over Ross Chastain, and I will, if I lose, I lose. But 2-1, I feel like anytime we see a number that's like plus 150 to more than that, I'm gonna probably jump on it. Like this one too.
Oh, I'm smashing that. I don't
Blaney
care.
over Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, that getting Ryan Blaney at plus 140. I don't.
Yeah. We've done this song and dance too many times, and even when things aren't Larson over Elliott. So what are we doing here? You know what I'm doing this week? I'm taking head to head.
I'm adding all the ridiculous.
I'm finding the ridiculous numbers, and I'm looking for, and I'm taking advantage. And you know what I'm going to do on Saturday when we talk, Brian, after qualifying, and look for the ones that I already bet, look for the numbers that have moved, and take the other side and give myself a positive ROI. Dinger over Hamlin. See, that makes more sense. Minus 120 is fine. They did go a little shorter on the head-to-heads, which I think is interesting.
That's more of a respectable line there, not the freaking plus 140 plus 150s. Like those are ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's head-to-head season. We have Bowman versus Buescher. It's a show bet. I have Bell over Byron. I have Blaney over Reddick. I have Hamlin over Chastain and Larson over Elliott on the card right now, including 140 for Blaney, 215 for Hamlin, and 150 for Larson. So that feels really nice. Let's go back to race lines and see if we got some 10s. Nope, that's interesting.
They're definitely going to add them as soon as we're out of here.
Yeah, that's the way it usually works. Let's look. Top Chevy, Chase Elliott plus 240, Larson 4-1, Chastain 4.5. Daniel Suarez at 8-1 is kind of interesting, but I feel like if he's beating all of these guys, then he's probably like, I don't know. I guess we could look at what the top 3 numbers are, but you could do this, then you could do the outright and figure it out. Cindric being top 4 isn't interesting. Harvick, Buescher at 8-1. Yeah, that feels good. Like, but let's see. Top Toyota, Truex being the favorite as top Toyota is kind of interesting. Ty Gibbs 10-1 here.
Blaney top Ford at plus 425. That's
fun.
Considering he's really only competing with his teammate Austin Cindric at the top of the board there, and the fact that he's almost even odds with Chase Briscoe, or he is even odds with Chase Briscoe, is kind of ridiculous for me.
Yeah. Cindric top 3 at plus 350. And he's plus 325 to be top Ford. I think I'm going to take that top Ford. Where's the constructor? Yeah, I'm plus 310. Because I could take the 350, but he has to be top 3. Where if I take the 310, he could be 4th or 5th and still cash.
You could technically finish outside the top 10 if all of those Fords absolutely suck.
Which doesn't seem likely.
Yeah.
But like a top 4 or 5 finish. Like I cashed the Kevin Harvick when he was, I think, 4th, right? But he was the number 1 driver for Ford.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where that's some of the thinking that I apply when I'm making these wagers. Yeah, I haven't added any outrights. I think Chastain, let's go outrights one more time. Chastain 7.5 or let's see what our friends points bet is 725. Ooh, points bet has Cindric at 13-1. I'm gonna do it. Cindric outright 13-1. Chastain outright 7.5. And then I'm debating Suarez or Bell or both. Bell 22. That's a nice.
I mean, that is such a huge number.
Yeah.
And what do we talk about every week with Christopher Bell? You take the numbers early because you know he's probably going to qualify really good.
Yeah, and then you kick yourself on Sunday when he has a terrible accident for no reason.
Yep.
Okay, so I got Chastain at 7.5 for a full unit. I have Cindric. I guess I can just pull it up. So I have Cindric at 13 for 3/4 of a unit, Chastain 7.5 for 1 full unit, and Bell at 22 for half a unit. In addition to my head-to-head card, which is Bell over Byron, Bowman over Buescher, our show bet, Blaney over Reddick, Hamlin over Chastain, Larson over Elliott, and Cindric as the top Ford at plus 310. Brian, break down your card for the fine people out there.
Well, like I said, my only outright on the week is going to be Ryan Blaney at 18-1. I'm going pretty heavy, 2 units on that one. I feel that strongly about that this week. My top 10s, Chris Buescher, top 10, Blaney to top 10, of course, at minus 160. Austin Cindric to top 10 at minus 185. I'm expecting a good qualifying performance out of him. This is just kind of a shot in the dark here. Bubba Wallace top 10 at 15-1 for a quarter unit. I know he's absolutely sucked at road courses, but if you look at his recent trends coming into this weekend, he's been running fantastic. Yep. And our show bet, Buescher over Bowman, Blaney over Reddick at plus 140. And then, of course, my love for Blaney this week as a top Ford at plus 425.
Yep, I like all of those calls quite a bit, except for the Blaney top Ford because Cindric's going to be the top Ford. But don't hate taking a shot either. That's a decent number. Brian, give the people your best bet for the Verizon 200 at the Brickyard.
Well, I haven't even added it to the card yet, but sticking true to my word, Ryan Blaney, I am going really heavy on him this week. We're going to add a Blaney top 5 at plus 210, and we're going to go for a full 5 units on this. I'm literally staking my name or whatever integrity I have behind any of my picks on Ryan Blaney this weekend, and hopefully he doesn't absolutely suck.
Yeah. No. Blaney top 5. Let's do it. Let's ride the lightning. I think it makes sense. Sheesh. Okay. I'm gonna add my top 10 bet for my best bet, and that is gonna be Christopher Bell top 10 at minus 135, thanks to our friends over at FanDuel. I really like Cindric's odds, but his number is just a little too short for a best bet. I'd like to go a little more risk. Not obviously not too much, but I will see your 5 units. I will raise you 5 units. I will take
Woo! We're
Christopher
getting
Bell on the
crazy this
top
weekend.
10. I think he has a strong week. Probably doesn't win because I have him on the outright card, but gets like 7th or something, and ends up having a decent day for me. Trying to pull up our show here.
We'll just say I will be sitting with my legs crossed, my fingers crossed. Every single piece of lucky jewelry or paraphernalia I have of anything is going to be sitting right next to me as I'm watching Ryan Blaney. I'll be calling on my stepdad to give me his Roger Staubach 12 jersey. Like everything is going to be about number 12 on Sunday.
Love it. Love it. Congratulations to our winner. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and send me your address in the DMs. Otherwise, I'm going to be sending it to a lucky winner and or Brian Twining in a couple weeks. So make sure you get in touch with me. We will be back for the Saturday night show. We'll be in your feed Sunday morning. DraftKings picks, updated betting card, all the fun stuff. That's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. You guys enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you on Sunday.